From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, on Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari promises free and fair elections in 2023. 2 traditional rulers arrested for roles in communal clash in Kogi. Nigerian Army enlists 5,800 soldiers to fight terrorism. Away from Nigeria, Moscow destroys depot with Western weapons. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. We begin with the Democracy Day. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed his determination to ensure that the new president is elected through a peaceful and transparent process. The president, in a national broadcast to commemorate Democracy Day today, June 12, 2022, promised Nigerians a free, fair and transparent electoral process. Buhari said all stakeholders must work together to ensure this transition was done in a peaceful manner in honor and memory of one of the national heroes for democracy, Chief Moshood Abiola, as June 12, 2023 will be exactly 30 years from the annulled 1993 presidential elections.
On June 12, 1993, Nigerians saw the best in our citizens as we all went out to vote peacefully. By June 24, 1993, we also saw the worst of our leadership as the elections were annulled. We must never forget the sacrifices of the heroes of Nigeria's democracy during 1993. Their patriotism and peaceful struggle should guide our actions, especially when it comes to electing our leaders and holding them accountable now and in future. Fellow Nigerians, this is my last Democracy Day speech as your president. By June 12, 2023, exactly 1 year from today, you will already have a new president. I remain committed and determined to ensure that the new president is elected through a peaceful and transparent process. It is important for all of us to remember that June 12, 2023 will be exactly 30 years from 1993 presidential elections. In honor and memory of one of our national heroes for democracy, Chief MKO Abiola, GCFR, we must all work together to ensure this transition is done in a peaceful manner. I am hopeful that we can achieve this.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called for deep reflection by Nigerians on the nation's representative government as the nation celebrates this year's Democracy Day. The Vice President made the remark at an interdenominational church service in Abuja, where he urged citizens to be more committed to building a country desired by all. Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Renditions from various choir groups heralding an interdenominational service to mark this year's Democracy Day. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, is represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. He underscores the imperative of celebrating the day and calls for deep thoughts on what he called a turning point in Nigeria's history. That turning point, he points out, brought about transition from military to democratic rule.
An interdenominational gathering of this sort is an important way to mark this special anniversary of our nation's democracy, largely because the values of justice, equality, fairness, and inclusion, which underpin democratic governance, are also at the heart of our Christian faith. A day like this, set aside to commemorate Nigeria's transition from military rule to democratic governance, gives us an opportunity to reflect on how far we have come as a people.
Reading from Romans chapter 8, verse 31 to 39, representative of the leadership of the National Assembly, Nkiruka Onyejocha, reminds the faithful of the need to have a strong belief in God in whatever circumstance they find themselves.
Who is even in the right hand of God, who also makes intercession for us, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for your sake are we killed all day long.
The 2022 Democracy Day celebration began with a Friday prayer at the National Mosque, followed by a presidential address, and is expected to climax with a special Democracy Day parade scheduled to hold on Monday, the 13th of June. Shabiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
We are now joined by our Rafsanjani, Chairman, Transition Monitoring Group and Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. Thank you for joining us on News Hour.
Thank you very much.
Well, today, Democracy Day, is one of those days that some Nigerians will say, well, there's nothing to celebrate. So as someone who has watched Nigeria's democracy, transit all through the years, what is there to celebrate about this day?
Well, although it is true that many Nigerians are disappointed with the way the political class in Nigeria had actually governed the country, or they are governing the country, given the fact that one of the major, or some of the major dividends of democracy are yet to be realized, which is peaceful coexistence. Democracy promises peace, stability, and also democracy promises eradication of poverty, hunger, and job creation. These are things that democracy actually, if we implement it properly, we will be able to deepen, and also we will have been able to deepen democratic accountability, because these are all things that are absent in the other forms, in most of the other forms of regimes or governance. So therefore, the political class have the responsibility to ensure that they sustain the hope and confidence by actually bringing programs that can help address the concern of the ordinary citizens. Otherwise, democracy will mean nothing to ordinary Nigerians if peace, stability, poverty, hunger, unemployment, collapse of continuous collapse of infrastructure, social services like education, healthcare system, all these, if they are not there, the ordinary Nigerian will not make any sense about democracy. Therefore, it is important that the political class, who are the greatest beneficiary of democracy, must do everything possible to keep the flag flying by ensuring that they create enabling environment for Nigerians to believe in the system through organizing credible, free, fair election, so that Nigerians can choose at local, state, and national level leaders that they wish to lead them based on tangible programs that they have on the ground.
All right. Now, going by the speech of the president earlier today, he alluded to the fact that June 12, is a celebration of freedom and nation's unity. Looking at the past 23 years, would you say that that's our reality now?
Well, the issue is that it is true that it's good to celebrate one of the moments we had in the country where, that election closed the rank between Muslim Christians in the country. If there's anything that we must continue to celebrate, is that very singular action, because the winner of that election won across both in the north and in the south, and therefore the issues of ethnicity and religion did not play very much role as we are seeing today in Nigerian politics. So I think there's every reason to celebrate that particular moment, and it was a moment that many Nigerians believed that no matter how bad that election was, it's better than to continue to have military dictatorship in the country. That was the principle in which many Nigerians actually supported June 12. Not that the election was absolutely 100% okay, but it was better than to continue to have military regime that is not accountable, that is not the choice of the people. But at least the June 12 election was, people's choice, and that no matter what its imperfection, is better than a regime that is, so authoritarian, so dictatorial, and totally undemocratic.
All right. The president is pledging, credible elections in 2023, and then we're wondering what's the view of the TMG as regards, the president's stand on this?
Well, it's good that the president continue to, commit himself to that. Nigerians will judge Mr. President when they see that the election is free, fair, credible, and acceptable to Nigerians. You need to begin to look at certain things that can make an election to be free, fair, and credible, as well as also acceptable to people. Because election does not just start on the day of the election. Electoral process began when you are actually even doing the primaries, the party primaries. Many Nigerians, they view the way the party primaries happens at the initial stage were not satisfactory to many people. But I think, we also need to look at other ingredients that will make the election to be free, fair, and credible. A lot of Nigerians have not got their PBC. A lot of Nigerians, as you know very well, you can only vote when you have a valid PBC. And therefore, political class who are beneficiary of democracy, they need to intensify effort and ensure that Nigerians, especially their members or their supporters, they obtain their PBC. And also, if they need to update it, they need to do it before because it is only through that you can demonstrate your right to choose new leader that you are looking for.
All right. Well, Awar Rafsanjani, Chairman, Transition Monitoring Group and Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Now, moving on, staying with political processes, the Independent National Electoral Commission has said that it does not recognize Senator Godswill Akpabio as the All Progressives Congress Party candidate for Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District. Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State, Mike Igini, said the commission only recognized DIG Epo Udom, retired, who emerged winner of the primaries the commission monitored. Speaking to Daily Trust in Uyo on Sunday, Igini denied claims that the commission was represented and monitored the rerun APC senatorial primaries where Akpabio emerged winner. The REC also affirmed that the APC has no governorship candidate in the state, saying that the governorship primaries where Akanimo Udofia emerged winner was not monitored by INEC. With this development, it means that APC has no governorship candidate in Akwa Ibom, while the Northwest Senatorial District rerun primaries, which produced Akpabio as candidate, is null and void. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has ordered the arrest and detention of 2 first-class chiefs in Basa local government area in the state for their failure to put an end to the incessant destruction of lives and property in a lingering communal crisis. Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Muhammad Onogu, disclosed this in Lokoja. According to the statement, the Governor has placed the Divisional Security Officer of Basa local government area and some government appointees on the security watch for their roles in the bloodletting that has claimed innocent lives and destruction of property in the enclave. The government said that the renewed hostility between the warring tribes in the community has claimed 9 lives and the destruction of property in the process. The detained chiefs include Ohegba of Mozum, Khalid Bukhar Ali, and the Aguma of Bassa Kingdom, William Keke. Over now to the northwest, the Katsina State Commissioner of Police Idris Dauda Dambang has visited Kwari village in Jibia local government, area of Katsina State. The village was attacked last week by terrorists numbering about 150 who killed 1 person, abducted about 100 people and rustled an unspecified number of animals. Abdullahi Amadi was there and now reports.
The police commissioner is undertaking this on-the-spot assessment to ascertain the level of damage done to the residents of the affected community. Despite the level of devastation, the police boss in Katsina is emphatic that news on the attack on Kwari community was over-exaggerated, blaming some sections of the media, not Trust TV, for blowing the attack out of proportion. CP Dabang points out only few shops were burnt down during the attack, while the number of people abducted is yet to be ascertained. Similarly, the police authority picks holes in earlier reports which claimed that the village was deserted following the dastardly attack. On the contrary, the police boss is alleging that the long-term relationship between the villagers and the terrorists went wrong following recent arrests of some hoodlums by security personnel.
And from all indication, I think the people of this village or town have been fraternizing with these bandits. They are always here, they buy food items here. And the day the incident happened, they were here for long. They didn't call anybody to say that this is what is happening.
The CP warns that the fight against terrorism will not succeed if there is no support from citizens, especially in insecurity-prone communities.
They say, we are even told that sometimes they will go to other villages outside this place and may commit offense, attack people, and the people here will not tell anybody. And as I earlier said, we will only work on the information of the citizens. If something is happening, even as we are here now, if something is happening at the other side of it, if we don't, how do we go there? So that's exactly what happened.
Residents of Kwari community narrate their ordeal and are calling for the deployment of security personnel to prevent a reoccurrence of the ugly attack.
Akalla mashin ya kai 150 ko da 60 sun cika gari layuka baki daya.
The terrorists came on motorcycles, robbed people of their money and other valuables. They also killed 1 person, abducted about 100 people, and rustled unspecified number of animals in the process.
Sannan bayan ya je asibiti ya rasu. Allah ya mai wa'adi.
As you can see, they have killed my neighbor and burnt down this provision store. What we saw on that day was terrible and devastating.
It would be recalled that Trust Television News had reported that some displaced persons from Kwari village, mostly women and children, were taking refuge at an IDP camp in Jibia town. Abdullahi Ismail Amadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The Nigerian Army has enlisted 5,800 soldiers in its efforts to tackle security challenges bedeviling the country. Speaking during the passing out parade of the 82 regular recruit intake who passed out at the Nigerian Army Depot, Zaria, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, said the action is to strengthen high performance and boost manpower of the Nigerian Army. He urged the recruits to maintain a high standard of professionalism and remain good ambassadors of the Nigerian Army and the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Yahaya urged the new soldiers to apply the mental, physical and moral training acquired over the past few months, as well as those that they will be exposed to at their respective units, formations and corps. The leadership of scrap dealers has said iron scavengers killed by Boko Haram group in Dikwa and Kalabalge communities are IDPs and not their members. Security agencies in Borno State have opened investigation into allegations that scrap dealers are involved in the vandalization of government and private properties in attacked communities. The report.
Few days ago, about 20 metal scavengers were gruesomely murdered by Boko Haram terrorists in Dikwa town, while a similar incident occurred in Kalebalge. The recent attacks from security intelligence alleged that the metal scavengers were involved in vandalization of government and private properties in the communities. This is the reason the Commissioner of Police, along with other security chiefs, visited the State Mechanic Workshop to investigate impounded trucks loaded with metals.
That inside these trucks, we have not seen anything incriminating for now. But, investigation is ongoing. And before we conclude our visitation and of course interrogating the whole issue, we'll be able to come out with a concrete report that will serve the government, and in turn, the government will be able to bring out a policy that will make this business to be more genuine and healthy. Because the government had serious and terrible experiences where government infrastructures have been vandalized and individuals' vehicles have been cannibalized. And for us to curtail it, that is why we're here.
The Scrap Dealers Association said it's not involved in theft of metals, adding that those killed in Kalabalge and Dikwa are not their members.
They are not registered. And when we some information, so that the IDP comes.
They are not our members because they are not registered. We did our investigations and got information that they are IDPs who came out in search of metals for survival. We don't buy anything that is new and useful. We only accept metals that are burnt and old. Our members are warned not to vandalize anything. Even when we transport our metals, we involve the security agencies. The commissioner said after completing its investigation, it will send recommendations to the state government on the way forward.
The Zamfara state government has been given 48 hours to rescue 30 persons who were abducted by suspected terrorists last Saturday along Sokoto-Gusau Road. The Union of Communication Zamfara State chapters issued the ultimatum while briefing journalists in Gusau over the incident. The union says its members were kidnapped at Tureta on their way from Sokoto to Gusau after wedding Fatiha of one of their colleagues. According to the secretary of the union, Ashiru Shuaibu, their coastal bus had developed a fault around Tureta in Sokoto State, and they had engaged a mechanic to fix the vehicle.
Their motor get fault at Tureta. After they get a mechanic for about 40 minutes, he assisted them get the motor repaired. They have started coming to Zamfara. Within the Tureta Bakura axis, those kidnappers were ambushed there. Over 50 people were abducted, but alhamdulillah, more than 20 were escaped. Some with serious injuries, some with minor injuries. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. We have identified 30 members that were still in captive. Locally today, they use funds of those captives, about 5 of our members, they call us. After they call us, they only notify us they are with them. They hadn't intervened or seek for anything for now. So we are using this media to call for our leaders. These people are very important people. They are youth. And in this era, youth is very important. They are people that are helping the government, the community, the economy of this country. Because at least each member has nothing less than 4 to 10 people under him that are transacting. They will give them their stock, they will take it to the various markets, they will sell, they bring the money back. So I think with that assistance, they have reduced the rate of poverty that is hammering youth in Zamfara State, because we have contributed in reducing the unemployment jobs. So we are using this media to call for the government. We have seen the effort they are doing during the primary elections that conducted recent. So we want them to give these issues serious attention. They should come back to their various states. They should start negotiations or use the security personnel to see that they bring those members back to their respective family.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State has commended Ejiro Otarigo, driver of the petroleum truck that exploded at Agbaro, Ughelli North local government area on Saturday, for his uncommon heroism that averted a major disaster. A statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Olisa Ifejika, in Asaba on Sunday said that the governor was impressed by the bravery and patriotism-propelled risk-taking by Agbaro-born driver. The action, according to Okowa, saved what might have resulted in colossal loss of lives and property. He expressed deep appreciation to Otarigo for the discretion he applied in steering the already burning truck laden with petroleum product away from a densely populated area at the risk of his life, describing his valor as amazing. According to Okowa, this act of bravery and compassion in today's Nigeria is without equivocation worthy of commendation and emulation. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, menace of scavengers in Borno State. Details and more after the break. Join us again.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. We do apologize for the earlier mix-up. Now, here's a reminder of our top stories again. On Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari promises free and fair elections in 2023. 2 traditional rulers arrested for roles in communal clash in Kogi. As Nigeria marks the 2022 Democracy Day, a cross-section of Gombe residents say that the state has recorded some achievements under democratic rule. Created in 1996, Gombe State has so far had 4 governors, including the incumbent, Inuwa Yahaya, who have all contributed to bringing democratic dividends to the state. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Since the return of democracy in 1999, let Abubakar Hashidu emerge the first civilian governor of Gombe State. He was succeeded by Danjuma Goje in 2003, who served for 8 years and handed over to Ibrahim Dankombo in 2011. The incumbent Governor Inuwa Yahaya was elected in 2019. Speaking on Democracy Day, some residents of Gombe State said it has been a fruitful journey so far.
We have university in Gombe. Before democracy, you don't have it. And we have airport in Gombe. Before democracy, you don't have it. Even water. Before democracy, we don't have it in Gombe. But now in Gombe State, we have regional water that supply from the Dadinkoa to Gombe.
But there are a lot of achievements that we got in democracy. And then democracy also failed us. Due to the insurgency, the corruption whatsoever, all is equipped in the democracy. But before democracy, we don't observe all this kind of mess in our life.
Although he admitted that the state has made reasonable progress, a political analyst says the state still has more to offer the people in terms of development.
We cannot also deny the fact that there are sporadic achievements here and there, particularly if you look at it from the state perspective achievements. The 36 states, if you assess them, you find that some states are far better than before in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of human capital development. So definitely we are not going to say that it's total fiasco, but rather it's a mix of we got some and we failed in some.
Nigeria's Democracy Day was usually celebrated on May 29 before President Muhammadu Buhari changed it to June 12 in honor of late Moshood Abiola, who was believed to be the winner of that annulled June 12 presidential election of 1993. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun on Sunday freed 40 inmates and commuted 6 death sentences to life imprisonment. Abiodun announced this in his remarks at the Democracy Day event held at the MKO Abiola Stadium in Abeokuta, the state capital. He said the gesture is in commemoration of the June 12 Democracy Day anniversary and the need to decongest the correctional centers across the state. The governor also paid tribute to MKO Abiola, the winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. According to him, there is no gainsaying that the struggles of June 12, as orchestrated by MKO, gave birth to the seamless democracy Nigeria now enjoys. And electricity consumers in Bauchi State have lamented the hike in tariff and the alleged unsatisfactory level of services being rendered to them by the Jos Electricity Distribution Company. The customers disclosed this at a forum with communities to resolve issues around electricity distribution and consumption. Adamu Imam reports.
Issues that bother Bauchi residents are mainly those of poor power distribution in some part of the state, as well as that of prepaid meters. They are calling on the Jos Electricity Distribution Company to address them as soon as possible,
so that people will not be complaining about the high rate of billing, because it's the only way that people will understand the way they are being billed, and also to educate people and also to make the judge to understand the way and manner they are being billing people. For example, there are some areas that they say it's estimate billing. This estimate billing causes a lot of problems, because at times you see a compound, big compound and small compound, they will be given the same bill, the same amount. So this is our problem, is the problem that we educate them to know how they are going to be doing the billing by make sure that the materials that somebody is using in his house is the one that will cost higher.
Also on the complainant list is the delay in the installation of the electricity poles, which caused most of the power outages and destruction of properties witnessed in the area. Chairman of the Customers Forum, Alhaji Hassan, called for constant dialogue between the electricity consumers to ensure amicable resolution of issues affecting both parties.
It has to do with the billing system. I have applied and paid for a prepaid meter. At that time, it was 55,000 for 3-phase meter. And that meter was not given to me as when due. Along the line, I was cut off with what electricity supply in my house.
The regional manager of JED, Hamisu Jigawa, appealed to the federal government to help address some of the issues which he said are not within the company's jurisdiction, while urging the customers to bear with it on the new tariff.
There is increase in the electricity billing, but the customers need to know what even led to that increase. The regulator, the federal government, have reviewed our tariff about 4 or 5 times from 2020 ending to date. So the unit that you are buying for maybe at about 17 naira before, now you are buying it at about almost 54 naira. So even if you consume the same quantum of energy, you still have to pay higher because the amount will be different, because the cost of 100 unit at 17 naira is not the same as the cost of 100 unit at 54 naira.
The forum commended the media for its role and urged practitioners to continue partnering with it to resolve all lingering issues. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
On the fight against drugs, a Nigerian-based Congolese Kadi and a Nigerian Ebuka Anthony have been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) at the NACO and SACO export sheds of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, for attempting to export controlled and illicit drugs to the United States and Dubai, while Kandigo was arrested on Tuesday, 31st of May, at the NACO export shed for attempting to export 200 kilograms of pentazocine injection. Ebuka was nabbed on Friday, 3rd June, in connection with the attempt to export parcels of cannabis sativa concealed in cereals packs to Dubai through the SACO cargo shed. Meanwhile, anti-narcotic officers in Edo have intercepted several illicit drugs, with no fewer than 30 arrests made in the last week across the Federation. Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, commended the officers and men of the MMIA, Edo, Yobe, and FCT commands for their resilience and charged them and others across all commands to remain vigilant and committed to the collective goal of saving Nigeria from the drug scourge. Meanwhile, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has warned intending Hajj pilgrims against trafficking of illicit drugs as they prepare for lift off to Saudi Arabia. An official of the agency, Habiba Zubair, gave the warning on Sunday in Ilorin while addressing pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land to perform the 2022 Hajj. She warned that pilgrims could take only prescription drugs to Saudi Arabia, as the government there will not tolerate anything outside that. Zubair also admonished the pilgrims not to take kola nuts or ground pepper to Saudi Arabia, as they would be confiscated. The NDLEA official also told the intending pilgrims to always wear the state's uniform while in Saudi Arabia for easy identification. The federal government has inaugurated the training of no fewer than 3,000 Stream 2 independent monitors of the National Social Investment Program across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, during the inauguration in Abuja, said the training has become necessary to sustain the gains of the program. Here is the report.
Kontek Farouk, who was represented at the inauguration by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Alhaji Nasir Sani Gwarzo, explained that the IMs are responsible for monitoring the program in their communities in schools, households, and market clusters, with the focus of ensuring that the primary objectives of the NSIPS are achieved. The minister, who recalled that the inauguration of the training and onboard of Stream 1 IM in February 2021 in Abuja and the 36 states of the Federation, said the incoming Stream 2 IMs are expected to continue using the same platform to report their activities from the field.
Are one of the most important components of NSIP, and the ministry lays special emphasis on ensuring its programs are closely monitored. We have monitors in every local government where NSIP is being implemented. Through the Social Investment Management Information System, SEMIS, application, our Stream 1 monitors have uploaded over 220,000 reports.
The national coordinator of the NSIP, Dr. Umar Bindir, said the program is the major instrument of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to reduce poverty in the country. Bindir stressed that the NSIP has been institutionalized to the point that it will not go down the drain like other poverty alleviation programs of previous administrations.
The NSIP is right at the bottom of the pyramid, training young people, feeding children, delivering soft loans, and delivering grants as conditional cash transfer to poor people. If you want to see the effect of this, whether it is reaching people, whether there is an impact when it reaches people, monitoring and evaluation and impact assessment is a key. And this has to be done continuously.
The federal government says it has reclaimed 23,000 hectares of degraded land and completed 56 gully erosion sites in various parts of the country under the Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project. The Minister of Environment, Muhammad Abdullahi, disclosed this at a valedictory ceremony for the new map on Sunday in Abuja. The National Project Coordinator, New Map, Dr. Salisu Dahiru, said that the first phase of the new map spent $500 million in the execution of the project. He said that another 2 grants were given by Global Environmental Facilities and Special Climate Change Fund, adding that one was about $3 million, while the other was about $4 million grant. New map was established in collaboration with the World Bank and its partner agencies in 2012 to address gully erosion and other forms of land degradation in 23 states across the country. The impact of new map had been felt all over the country, including in some states that were not participating in the project. Residents of Osun State say that they are yet to recover from the negative effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, as their lives have not returned to normal. Speaking with Hamid Oyegbade, they lament the high cost of food and other commodities, which they say aggravated the pains occasioned by the pandemic, and sought government intervention to ameliorate their plight. The report.
The World Health Organization, which got the wind of the pandemic on December 31st, 2019, declared the outbreak of COVID-19 on January 30th, 2020. It was followed by the partial then total lockdown across the world. The economic and social disruption caused by the pandemic pushed many people into extreme poverty. Though federal government has relaxed the COVID-19 safety protocols and things are gradually returning to normal, most people are yet to recover from the devastating impact of the pandemic.
The effect of COVID-19 on the people is so saddened and is of a heavy weight on the community. During that period of COVID-19, many people lost their job. You know, there was always a lockdown. People that want to go to work were unable to go to work. Means of livelihood was so difficult for people to meet up with. And so it has a very great negative effect on the people.
A lot of people have not recovered from this COVID-19 setback. Lots of people have not even been able to take their children back to the fee-paying schools. A lot of them have had to take their children to the public school, and then some public schools are even rejecting them because they have brought them at a later.
The General Manager, Community Social Development Agency in Osun State, Fumi Abokede, said the state government has concluded plans to implement a program aimed at mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on the people of the state.
COVID-19 had its negative impact on the people, particularly on their health and the economy. And the state government of Osun is very sensitive to the plight of the people. That's why there's an intervention called Osun Cares, which is being co-funded by Osun State Government and the World Bank. And because our governor, Mr. Gbege Oyetola, is very sensitive and is really interested in the development of the people, it has allowed the agency, Osun Agency for Commission and Social Development, to implement that project, which will focus on health, water, and education. This will go a long way to reduce the negative impacts of COVID on our people, and it will help to improve the well-being of the people of Osun State.
We apologize for the bad audio in that report. Now, stakeholders and parents have been called upon not to relent in supporting vulnerable children in the country in ensuring their access to qualitative education. This was stated by Mariam Abdul Mumin at the maiden edition of the Education Marathon, which is aimed at bridging the gap between public and private schools. Here's the report.
Mrs. Mariam Abdul Mumin, Executive Director of Ilmi Children's Fund, further told Trust Television News that Education Marathon 1.0 become imperative as parents will rise to ensure that they build socially responsible adults and talented children in our crime.
The aim of this program is to see how we can bridge the gap between public and private schools and be able to give an opportunity to all children regardless of their background. Now, we know that our public school system is not as it used to be. I am a product of a public school. From my primary to my secondary, the only public school that I didn't go to was university, and I believe that I turned out very well. So we ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? What happened? How have we gotten to a point where our private schools have gotten to the point that they're at?
This is all about education and a child's right to education, which is something that the United Nations in Nigeria as a totality, but also UNFPA is working on. We are working to implement the Child Rights Act, and that clearly states a child has the right to education.
Create awareness for education. So we're actually a company that is into education software, EdTech, and we're trying to improve the quality of education in Nigeria.
Also at the event, Mrs. Amina Abubakar also reiterated that all hands must be on deck to enable the foundation achieve their set objectives to see that every child gets unhindered access to qualitative education and to conscientize policymakers to implement the various regulations. Parents and all other invited guests at the event added that these kind of gestures will not only go a long way for both public and private schools to familiarize with themselves educationally, but also to ensure that the rate of out-of-school children in the country drops to the barest minimum.
So far it's been very exciting, and I'm really
from model primary school
amongst the children.
All right.
Healthy
Paris.
You know, sports is a way of building skills and values in the children, discipline,
are you here?
Self-restraint,
right.
you know, looking out for one
Hassan,
another.
are you
It's
here?
very exciting to see this being inculcated in the young children.
I love the fact that we have a convergence of public and private schools coming together to hold this marathon, and as we can see, it's 1.0. So I'm hoping that this continues, because I think there needs to be greater integration between the two sides and synergy as well.
My advice to parents is, irrespective of where you find yourself, even if you find yourself in a public school, you can push your child. You can push your child to be better than they are. You can push your, once you identify the talent of your child, we live in a world where you can be anything.
Highlights at the occasion include schools competing in various sports activities. In Abuja, Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News.
Now, keeping of beard in yesteryears was associated with old age and wisdom. But the trend is changing in the modern times, especially in Nigeria. Young Nigerians now keep full beard for various reasons. In this report, Trust TV News samples the views of young adults in Ilorin on why they keep beard.
In the past, one of the signs of the old age was the beard. These days, beards are no longer the sole preserve of the elderly. Young adults now keep beards for various reasons, ranging from medical, fashion, and religious.
Well, when I was younger, I discovered that I had a lot of hair. So me shaving it all the time, it was giving me a lot of issues like burns, rashes, and stuff like that.
So I keep my beards really for fashion concern, and I think convenience. I don't like visiting the salon often. Most people will go, say, weekly. I think I like to go like once in a month.
In the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, from the Islamic point of view, is that the Prophet ﷺ said, keep the beards, copy the opposite of the polytheists.
Some of the young adults with beards recount embarrassing moments they have experienced as a result of keeping beards.
In some environments that I visit or have visited, they will not say it directly to me. But I will just overheard them.
Despite this, they are resolved to keep sporting beards. And to cap it all, they are urging others who might have interest to join and not be discouraged by negative comments.
And now to business news. As the strength of the naira wanes, Nigeria's dependency on the dollar grows, bringing about dollarization of Nigeria's economy. Dollarization occurs when the inhabitants of a country use foreign currency as a measure for their domestic currency. It is also utilized as either a store of value, unit of account, or as a medium of exchange within the domestic economy. Chamung Dabeng spoke to financial consultant Dr. Hussaina Mohammed on this theory and how it relates to the Nigerian economy.
Since the 1980s, the US dollar has gradually displaced the naira as the legal means of exchange in Nigeria. To compound things, the volatility of the naira has pushed the dependency on the dollar even further. As a result, the dollar has dominated the naira and is freely used as an alternative currency, as a means of savings, and as a standard of value in commodities markets.
Dollarization, as it is today, is a bad news for the economy. It's a bad news for everybody, whether you are actively engaged, either in business or retail, because everything is aligned to dollar, not more naira today. And this is the sad news for virtually everybody, especially those with a kind of fixed income, the retirees and those who don't have job, because virtually everything that you want to do now, people will, even drinking, selling water. If care is not taken, somebody will say bring dollar rather than naira. Pure water, somebody selling pure water. Virtually you want to bring everything now. People calculate things dollar-wise in terms of naira.
Due to the naira's instability, many Nigerians have begun to dollarize their spending and savings. Section 15 of the CBN Act 2007 states that the naira is the unit of currency in Nigeria, and Section 20, subsection 5 of the same act states that anyone who refuses to accept the naira as a form of payment is guilty of an offense and faces a fine or 6 months in prison if convicted. But have policies and the legal regulations really helped in slowing down dollarization? If not, what is the way out?
How effective is this policy, CBN policy? They themselves keep on, shifting the goalpost. Nothing is constant with them. They make a policy today, within a month, you find that they move again to the next stage. And therefore, there is no consistency in whichever policy that you are mentioning. In terms of intact, in terms of defending the policy they kind of somersault most of the time. They make a law today, tomorrow is another law, next tomorrow is another law. Have a team, management, managing the economy well, and consistency of whatever policy you want to do. If you do that, there will be stability. Federal Reserve Bank, in New York, all right? The Fed will give a policy, and then that policy will be there for 1 or 2 years before they even look at the distance. And they are ready to defend. They are ready to defend dollar power for any reason at all. Here we don't. Government don't defend Naira. Central bank don't defend Naira. It is a must. It's not about demand and supply. No. Currencies of a country must be defended at any level. Whether you're talking about capitalism, socialism, whatever isms you have, currency of a country is like a live wire, and therefore government will always defend it to the last minute.
In order to put an end to the seeming dollarization of Nigeria's economy, it's imperative to improve the country's forex earnings and stabilize the exchange rate. This requires a developed domestic production structure, diversification of the economy, and a focus on exports aided by a strong trade policy and a favorable macroeconomic climate.
And away from Nigeria, Russian forces have destroyed a large depot with U.S. and European weapons in Ukraine's Ternopil region as street fighting raged in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. The governor of the Ternopil region said a rocket attack on the city of Chotkiv, fired from the Black Sea, had partly destroyed a military facility, injuring 22 people. Moscow has repeatedly slammed the United States and other nations for supplying Ukraine with weapons. President Vladimir Putin said earlier this month that Russia will strike new targets if the West supplied longer-range missiles to Ukraine for use in high-precision mobile rocket systems. Ukrainian leaders have renewed pleas to Western countries in recent days to speed up deliveries of heavy weapons as Russian forces pound the east of the country with artillery. And that's a wrap on the News Hour. You can watch more by connecting with us via all social media platforms and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.